Good evening and welcome back to another Talking Technical. And of course, we are flooded with requests, and especially, can you believe it? Everybody suddenly want to know about Naspers and process. And I can remember, I'm sure if you look at this chart a few weeks ago, I actually showed it as a possible buying opportunity. And who thought that this share can perform that well? In actual fact, we called it for our subscribers around just above 1,400 Rand, and now it's 2,307 Rand. We don't get a lot of those calls, but if we do get them, we are very happy. Everybody's asking now, must I buy or am I too late? And I had a request the other day where someone said, yes, I did buy it. I'm happy. I've got some nice profit now. What should I do? And of course, we cannot help with strategy, but we can read the candles for you. Now, if you look at this chart here, look at the candle here above the 200-day moving average. A beautiful rally, and there's a beautiful gap there. The gap is between 1,924.58, and it closes at 2,109.96. And the big question now is, if you are a trader, I always say, I've never met anyone that went under without taking a profit. So the best is just lock in your profit. If you're happy with it and you made 24% or 30% and you are a trader and you say, thank you, I've got some nice profit in the bank, just bank it and walk away. On the other hand, if you want to wait for it and you did not buy it, wait for either this gap to close. That's maybe a way of doing it. But if you chase the momentum, where's your stop loss? And the stop loss will be then your 200-day moving average, and that is sitting at 2,161 Rand and 46 cents. What is the big lesson here? Yes, you can sometimes spot a share right at the bottom as a possible buy. At that point, you've got a nice tight stop loss. If you have a beautiful rally and you're happy with the rally and you are a trader, you just lock it in and go. If you are a long-term investor or medium-term investor, you say, there's my 200-day moving average. It's now above that. I'm happy. I'm just hanging on to the stock. And I'm just saying to myself, I'm in good territory, good waters. The market is going up. And there's still plenty possibility of this share to go higher. Because if you look at this, it came up from a very, very, very high price. From well above 3,250 Rand, and it's now at 2,305. But the big question now is, when is enough enough? And for a trader, I've got many solid, good traders in my group. In actual fact, I've lost the other day a subscriber, and they are immigrating to Belgium. That's bad. It's good for him because he's a good trader now. He can go wherever he wants to do and he can trade it. But out of a long-term perspective, if you want to hold on to the stock, you can do that. And the big thing is always, when you are happy with your profit and you've got a share and it's doing well, you lock it in, walk away, and you find something else. But on the other hand, if you're a medium to long-term investor, you say, 200-day moving average is my golden rule, and above it, I'll hang on to the stock. So, difficult question, difficult answer, but it's for you to decide because it's your emotion that needs to lead you. Let us look at Sappi. Now, Sappi is one of those commodity counters that did very well in the commodity cycle. In actual fact, the commodity cycle is still going. Everybody is still happy on it. And if I look at the chart tells me that the momentum is still beautifully to the up. Let's have a look here. There you can see there's your trend line. The trend line tells you that while the share is trading above 51 Rand and 10 cents, the market will be happy. The only thing that worries me is that I'm starting to see a rising wedge scenario. Now, a rising wedge is always a formation that tells you that something can go wrong, and that we can maybe see a sell-off. And for me, I will hold on to the stock if I do have it. I will not buy it because it's already a nice prolonged rally from 25 Rand to 60 Rand. The easy money must definitely be in the bank. But as we know, there's a lot of momentum traders around. And if you are a momentum trader and you want to chase the momentum, I'm going to use that as my point. And remember, this is a weekly chart. Then above 60 Rand 11, I'll buy it on momentum only, and I will make use of my stop loss. I will just get a little bit of a tighter stop loss It will be 51 Rand on the dot. And if it breaks up, yes, it can maybe reach for this high, the previous high of 70 Rand 20, and that was done in 2019 around the 23rd of April. So solid performer, momentum still up. I don't like the rising wedge that's maybe in the making. But as we know, there's a lot of momentums. Traders that can maybe still chase it a little bit higher. Let's look at RMB Holdings. Remember, this stock came out of Rand Merchant Bank, and they've got some property assets. I think they've got the Menlyn complex. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think so. The big thing is, I want to look at this candle because somebody asked me, Frans, can you maybe look at this chart? Suddenly there's some nice momentum on the go here. And you are quite right. If you see a strong candle like this, I mean from 1 Rand 54 to 1 Rand 73, in a matter of maybe a day or 2 days, that's a strong candle. That just shows you it's almost a 20% rally. We talked about Naspers the other night and we said, wow, 24% for the day is good. But I mean, look at this. This is a tiny counter and they also did 20%. This strong candle tells me something, because if I look at this chart and I want to go a little bit back, look at that. It is a previous resistance that the stock almost found resistance at. Now, the big thing now is, yes, we've got this possible double bottom scenario. But we need, for me, and that's why I'm looking at that level, I need to see the chart above, in actual fact, this level, because that's where the gap is. I just want to show you here. I just want to show you there. There you are. Just give me a little bit of a second. There you are. There's the top of that candle. And there's the gap that's going to be closed. Now, for me, it's quite important for this share to break above 176. The moment it breaks above 176, we can start to work on this gap. Now, that gap was actually coming out of the restructuring, and that is a fundamental gap, because this is not an emotional gap. And we've seen that fundamental gaps close more difficult than emotional gaps. Reason being, with a structure change in the company, either selling shares or actually breaking some, you can almost say sectors or areas down and sell it off and change the management and change the business model, you get a fundamental gap. Usually, when you've got a solid management team, it manages to close that fundamental gap. And that's why I say, if we can get above 176, it's maybe too late to buy it now, but if we can get above 176, our target will be to close this gap, and that gap will be 188. Yes, it is a strong move. Yes, it is a strong candle, and maybe it can go higher, but for me, we'll probably work now for a week or two, or maybe a month or 2, 3 months, to see if we can break above the high of this candle. But if it does break, that's going to be very, very, very bullish, because remember, this company sits with good management. They've got nice cash flow. They've got a good, solid business. And I mean, if you get these kind of candles, it tells you that there's maybe some strong buyers. And if the guys don't want to sell and we don't see the share going back below 170, 165, it tells you that the momentum is to the up, and those buyers are keen to hold on to the stock. Our next one is not a request from Mr. Warren Buffett, but it is a share that he bought a lot, and that is Occidental Petroleum Corporation. It's listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and Mr. Buffett actually declared the other day that he loaded up on the stock, so he's quite happy with it. And what do we see here? The momentum is still 100% intact at the top. I'm going to show you something that worries me a little bit, but I'm sure that Mr. Buffett, he's not maybe looking at this chart. He just say, no, what I don't like, I like this chart, I like the company, I buy it. And remember that Mr. Buffett is a person with a long-term view on a chart. In actual fact, I don't think he even looks at charts. Maybe just for an entry level, he will never say. But they've sometimes got a 5 and a 10 and a 15-year view on a company. At my age, sometimes a 15-year view is a little bit long, but what can I say? Mr. Buffett, he's well in his 90s. What you're talking? He's got a 15-year view on these charts. But if you look at the chart, and by the way, there's a lot of investors that worries that if Mr. Buffett will pass away, that the company will collapse, Berkshire Hathaway. I can maybe assure you that the guys that is under him, he's not in the office every day anymore. I doubt that. But he passed on all that knowledge over the years. And, as you get older, I see it with myself. You've got all this knowledge on the charts. You've learned a lot over the years. And what do at the end? You start to give it away because you want someone else to learn of your ideas. And that's exactly what we do, is to try and share our knowledge with people that's interested in technical analysis. But I mean, if you want to buy it, yes, you can maybe buy it because there is a tiny little bit of a higher low there. For me personally, I will wait for it to come back into this ascending channel. Ascending channel, by the way, is negative because it can easily take the share down to $45. But I mean, if you are believing in Mr. Buffett and you just want to buy it, then maybe wait for it just to go back into this, and that's $61.20. Because remember, I don't think he's got a stop loss because he's got big pockets. Maybe you need to have a stop loss. 61.20 is the buy, and your stop loss level will be 55.10. And if it comes back into this ascending channel, let's hope he's right, and it takes the share all the way up to $80 over time. Keep in mind, Mr. Buffett and his group, Berkshire Hathaway, has got long-term views on companies, long-term views on shares, and they don't even look at I think, levels of entries and exit. They just say it offers value or it doesn't offer value. We like the company and we buy it. But for me, for you, maybe it's important to just stick to a stop loss and maybe a target level to the top. Well, thank you for watching the show. Visit our website www.fransdeklerk.com for more info, and we'll chat again.